Welcome. This is the
Close.
holiday edition
I
of
like
Plug
your
Yourself.
I like your background.
It's festive.
Yeah, is that your
I
actual
got,
note?
yes, don't worry about the blurred hand.
All right.
Um, this is kind of a special edition because I'm visiting my parents who are a little bit of ways away, so not in person one this time.
I love how you're so closed off into telling people where you are. Remember the first episode, you wouldn't tell people where we live.
Southwestern Ontario.
Southwestern Ontario. Well, Jack is too scared to tell you, so I'll say he's 3 hours north. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I'm in Kitchener-Waterloo. Um, it's like an hour and a half outside Toronto, so I'm here for the holidays. I'm a festive guy.
Yeah, looks like it. I tried to do the
What's
same, but I had never used this computer, so nothing is downloaded, so it didn't work.
That's fair. A little bit more tech savvy. We got Google Premium just so we can record longer form.
Did you actually?
Yeah. They have
Oh
a month
wow,
free trial.
free
Guess who's
trial.
canceling that free trial?
Yeah,
After it's
this
a
month.
month-long free trial.
Yeah, I mean, we
Let's
probably
do
won't really need it much again after this. So
Yeah. It's an option.
yeah, okay.
So what's new? Well, there's not a whole lot to go through because when did we recorded last Thursday?
Wednesday, it was the Four Nations roster announcements
Right.
was Wednesday.
Okay, so there actually is some decent changes since then.
There's a lot of NHL news, period, and the Leafs played a lot of games. Not so much off ice stuff for the Leafs, but a lot of games to go through.
Yeah.
So basically, the last time we recorded, they played Nashville that night. And I believe they won
The
3-2.
they slept the first two periods a little bit, and then they kind of came out in the third and actually discovered how to play hockey and that you're playing.
No,
in
they
the
they
league.
blew up in the second, I think, that night.
Was it the second?
The Nashville game, they scored. Oh no, you're right. It was the third. Yeah, yeah. It was kind of a nothing game for the first two periods. Not really much.
Particularly against like who you're playing. It was just like this seems bizarre.
I feel like Nashville, even though they suck, they just kind of like they're still not easy to play against.
They're yeah, like they still have a lot of talent on that team, and so it's like you still have to put together a decent game. There's still Steven Stamkos. There's still Phil Forsberg.
Yeah. I know Riley. I don't think O'Reilly played against us, but O'Reilly's back already. They said a lot longer timeline, and he's back already. So that's good for them. But anyway, for us, that was Matthews' second game back, and it was kind of a coming out party.
This is the one where he had the first goal on a shot, I believe it was.
The second goal was a dirty goal.
Second goal was wild. Yeah. Snuck it underneath the 5-hole there.
Yeah. First he dangles the guy, and then when you look at it, when you watch it live, it looks like he loses control of the puck, but he actually doesn't.
Yeah.
He actually like purposely puts it through the 5-hole. And that's
so kind of look at it, and it's like the goalie, you're just like, Saros. Because I think it was Saros in that. You're just like, really, man? They didn't get the.
No, yeah. I mean, he probably wasn't expecting him to be able to get there that quick. But with Matthews, because Matthews always seems to get hurt for a chunk of time every year. And it kind of goes, it seems like it goes, he doesn't really score for a little bit, and then he gets hurt. And then when he comes back, he blows up and scores a shit ton.
Yeah.
And he didn't score his first game, but he scored 2 against Nashville. And he's looked really good every night, honestly, since then. So I'll show you. There's the hat for today.
In honor of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
But yeah, other than that, it was kind of a nothing game. There really wasn't much going on. Both teams kind of sat back defensively. There wasn't a lot of shots both ways.
Yeah.
The Marchessault goal was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. The bounce off the glass. Yeah, that was.
I missed the first period, I think, because I don't even know what it was.
We were recording, so we ran a little late, so I didn't see the entire front.
Right. Okay.
And then I drove home, so I missed part of the second as well.
I had to watch the replay of it, and it was just like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was strange.
Weird.
It was a little unlucky. Wall played that night. Yeah, he was solid that night. After that, it was Washington on Friday night and Pittsburgh on Saturday night. I kind of wanted to lump those games together because they were both kind of the same. Didn't play well at all. They played like shit.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
it was embarrassing, honestly. Like, Washington's a good team, but they got walked over.
Yeah, did Stolars play that night? Yeah, Stolars. That was not Stolars. He only let in 2. I was thinking of a different game. Pittsburgh,
and then there's the
and
empty
even the Pittsburgh Saturday it was 5-2, but it was 2 empty netters, so Wall only let in 3.
Well, and Wall wasn't getting any help.
Yeah, both nights 1 goal, 2 goals. You're not really getting much help. It's strange to say that the Leafs' strong point this year is goaltending.
Yeah.
Weird.
Seems like, okay, so we can jump to. It seems like he got hurt. He left in the second intermission last night. I was at a family event.
Stolars, you mean?
Yeah, Stolars. Stolars tweaked his. I don't know what it was, but it was like they're just classifying it lower body.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about the New Jersey game before we get to last night. Listen, honestly, it wasn't a good week.
It was horrible.
It was not
from going from the Capitals to the Penguins and just getting walked over. Pittsburgh is putting up points against you.
Pittsburgh's kind of on a heater though. They're kind of buzzing.
Kind of are.
Yeah, they kind
of. They've warmed up.
Crosby and Malkin aren't even scoring.
No, Rust is kind of getting hot right now.
Rust,
yeah. In the New Jersey one, 25 shots in the first period, and I think we may have had that. They were just lighting them up. The only reason we even had a shot in that game was because Stoley was on his head.
Stolars
had making incredible saves.
Stolars kept us in. Honestly, it wasn't just the first. Both the first 2 periods, we were horrible, like genuinely terrible. Probably some of the worst hockey we've played outside of maybe a couple of those blowouts earlier, like the St. Louis. The week we played St. Louis and we played Columbus. Outside of that, I can't think of much worse. But Stolars kept us in it, and then in the third, we came alive.
Stolars makes probably 5 saves in the net, or at least it kind of looked like it was sprawling. There was this scramble, short-handed, and then suddenly Dewar makes a beautiful play.
We had our best play was on the penalty kill. We got more chances on the penalty kill than we got on the power play. Our power play was brutal.
This little flip up and over, go, and as soon as where it landed, you saw him kick it into gear, and now it's a foot race, and he got after it, and he just tied the other guy up. Here comes Holmberg, and kind of a weird weak shot. A little bit looks like a little bit of a knuckler.
Not sure what Markstrom was doing. It was not.
Yeah, that's more of a Markstrom downplayed than.
But Dewar, you spoke on it. Dewar was honestly, since he's been back, I've liked Dewar a lot more this year than I did last year. I didn't really see much. He's a fourth line guy. He kills penalties. There's nothing pops off the page about him, but I've been a lot more impressed with his play this year than as opposed to last year when he came over Minnesota, which makes sense. You're betting into a new team, and this system suits him a lot better than Keefe's system. So,
yeah, it was just and then suddenly we had a game. Okay, we go through, we get to overtime, and even in overtime, after I think the first 45 seconds or minute, we lost the puck.
We didn't touch the puck for 2 minutes.
Did they win the faceoff right from the get-go? I thought we had a chance, and then New Jersey got it, and then it was all New Jersey for 2.5 minutes.
I believe Matthews was going to win the faceoff. I'm not sure if this was overtime or late in the third, but Matthews was in a battle on the faceoff dot, and Marner, instead of being the winger and going in to get the puck, he just floated away, which pissed me off. But anyway, I won't
believe we had possession, and then Matthews tried just wiring a shot on the way in, missed. We lost possession, and then it was nothing but New Jersey. And then again, Stolar standing on his head.
3-on-3. If you don't have possession, you're in big trouble. You kind of
tough.
Face-offs are very important 3-on-3.
And then it happened. And then it happened.
Yeah.
Actually got the shot. Matthews, 2 feet in front of the net, somehow managed to wire it straight up.
It was probably the hardest chance he had all night. He had the 3 other breakaways and he didn't score. And that was the hardest because the guy was on his back and he was way too tight, but he got it up somehow. For that game, my thoughts are we played like shit, but I thought Matthews was the best player on the ice. 200-foot game. He was all over the place. He won all his battles. He was the only guy creating anything offensively. They changed it. They put Nyes down on the second line for that game, which was weird. But I guess after the Pittsburgh-Washington games, they probably wanted to change something. But it wasn't.
I'm trying to think, was Pacioretty back in the New Jersey game?
Played the New Jersey game. Yeah, he played.
And that's when they started switching up the lines a little bit because they're like, "Where the heck do we put him?"
But then Nyes and Pacioretty swapped last night against Anaheim. Nyes was back on the first line, which worked a lot better.
He's back.
Oh fuck. But what I wanted to say was it was pretty evident who the best 2 players on the ice were in that Toronto New Jersey game. It was Matthews and Jack Hughes. And if you put those 2 together on a line at the Four Nations, that's pretty fucking scary for us.
You want
Team Canada.
You want to go into Jack Hughes, the hit that he took from Pacioretty.
Oh yeah, it was a big hit. Yeah, clean hit though.
They were saying on the panel, it looks like he tried to protect himself and like tried to ease off. I think he just got unlucky. I think it was just like, I don't know, he was falling back already. But the fact that, and everyone was talking about this too, but nobody stepped in. That's
exactly what I was about to say. Yeah, it was exactly what I was about to say. We talked about it with Edmonton. I think it was a couple weeks ago when Reeves hit Nurse and no reaction.
Yep.
And this is what wins. I get you don't need to go out and take a penalty, but protect your teammates. It's
it feels good. If you think about it, I honestly think if that happened to anyone on our team, there'd be a reaction at this point.
Oh, there had been. Remember that Vegas game?
Bruges formed. Yeah.
Remember that Vegas game? We were all over. That was a chippy game. And every time you're protecting your guys. Whether it's the guy that makes $13 million or the guy that makes $750K. Doesn't matter. The guys are getting in the mix. But yeah, Hughes was all over. I couldn't believe how much he dominated play for them. And we couldn't really do much about it. But I thought Matthews was unbelievable, 200-foot game. And again, against Anaheim, he was really good too. And it's just remember last week when you said that nobody has any guys on the same level as Team Canada's guys. You said Matthews was probably a little bit below that level. At this point, Matthews is better than Crosby at this point in their careers. And obviously not full career, but right here, right now, Matthews is better than Crosby.
I think there's a very strong argument.
Yeah.
They're different players. Players, 100%. But I think Matthews is growing into a much better, well-rounded player and having a lot more impact. Crosby similarly is adapted. I mean, he seems to be getting like 2 assists, 3 assists every single game. He's setting up the entirety of the team.
Yeah.
Matthews, it's like he's goal scoring, he's back checking, he's physical. He's not a selfish player, but he knows when to take control and take his chances too.
Here's what I'll say. I didn't make this point, and I should have made this point when you said that to defend Matthews. All right. The reason I would put him in that tier, I'm not saying he's necessarily better than those guys, but he is in that elite tier. If you go back throughout NHL history and you go every season, you look at who is the best pure goal scorer, not necessarily the guy who has the most goals, because Gretzky had the most goals, but he was never considered a pure goal scorer, right? Who is the best pure goal scorer in the NHL at any point in time? And if you name the players, you go back and name the players. Who's the previous generation? Ovechkin, right?
Yeah.
Before that, Brett Hall, right? Guys like that. Mike Bossy, Yari Curry. they're all wingers. Every single one of them are wingers. You have to go back to like the 50s to find a center. That would be maybe the 70s, 60s, 70s to find the center that's the best pure goal scorer in the NHL. And that's because the center has a lot more 200-foot responsibility.
A lot more responsibility.
Matthews plays that responsibility, was second in Selke voting last year, best defensive forward, and still almost scored 70 goals, 69 goals, a clip that hasn't been seen since Lemieux in the 90s, and was still one of the best defensive players in the league. That's why Matthews is in that tier. I know the playoffs aren't there yet, but listen, it took McKinnon a bit to get there in the playoffs. It took McDavid a bit, and McDavid still hasn't won either.
Still doesn't have it.
He's performed well in probably 2 of the playoffs. Pardon?
Took Ovi a bit.
Yeah, it took Ovi forever.
Most of his career, he never won.
Exactly. The Caps won the President's Trophy every year and then lost in the first 2 rounds. That happened every year. So there's a few freaks out there, Crosby, Gretzky, guys like that, where it didn't take that long, but it still wasn't snap the fingers, they're winning the cup year 1. It was still like year 3, 4, 5, right? It wasn't. But anyway, I won't get too far into that, but that's why I consider Matthews in that tier. And I know a lot of people won't agree, but I put Barkov in that tier as well.
Okay, now we're getting a little crazy.
And guys like Draisaitl, but obviously he won't be at the tournament. But yeah, I mean, Barkov, that's crazy, but Barkov's a captain of a cup winner. McDavid and Matthews can't say the same. So
I'm trying to think of Barkov. How many points is Barkov actually putting up? He scores big goals in big scenarios. I don't know what his like regular.
I obviously wouldn't say Barkov is as good offensively as those players, but he's miles better defensively than everyone other than Matthews on that list and Makar. But Makar's a defense.
Yeah, okay.
Of all the forwards, that's just my point of view. I'm not necessarily saying he's there, but that's what wins. The way Barkov plays is what wins. He's still a 80, 90 point guy, and he's the best player on the ice defensively. So that's what wins. Anyway, we got a little off the rails there.
Anaheim.
Anaheim. It looked a little better early in the game, but as the game went on, it was more the same from the past couple nights. Obviously, the big news from that game is Stolarz coming out. They called up Hildeby today, so it sounds like he's day-to-day. And they have a back-to-back this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, so I'd imagine Hildeby gets one of those starts.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming Stolarz won't be back in time, which it doesn't sound like he will play this weekend. Pacioretty, 2 goals last night.
2 goals and an assist. Yeah. Again, I didn't see any of last night's game. Was just kind of watching along with the feed.
Yeah. Honestly, I think you keep it Pacioretty with Tavares and Nylander and Knies with Matthews and Marner because it worked a lot better. I thought the Matthews line was a little unlucky to not get on the score sheet. They were kind of buzzing around and just never really went in for them.
Against a team that you expect to dominate a little bit.
Well, I mean, I would say they dominated for the most part, not the whole game, but for the first 2 periods, they were still the better team. Dostal kept them in it. Dostal, however you want to pronounce his name, he kept them in it. Like, there were some quality chances that he kept it out. Nylander was the best I've seen of him this week because he was pretty invisible the rest of the week, but he was really good last night. And he was kind of dictating play all over.
It was one of the points I wanted to bring up was Nylander's been quiet the last 3 games.
Yeah, the past couple of games, yeah, but he was really good last night.
Okay.
You see Nylander plays both units on the power play now too after he asked for Ruby for more playing time.
Really?
Yeah, he plays both units. He's been playing 2 minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
You know what I find? We really, against New Jersey, we really struggled on the zone entry on the power play. But it's always Matthews and Marner entering the zone with the puck. Nylander's our best puck possession guy, holding on to the puck.
And I know like it works for some teams, but I hate the little dump in and then go get it on a power play. Because if they get it there and they just whip
No,
it
they
out,
don't. Yeah, they don't usually do that. It's a lot of.
Nylander's actually he's good at entering with possession.
Yeah, exactly. Nylander's the strongest, like to keep hold of the puck, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
on a string. With the Leafs, I do like a lot better with the zone entry. It didn't work out obviously that night, but they still do the drop pass, but it's not. They used to do the drop pass 16 times before they entered the zone. Now it's maybe one time and then it's a go, and that's the north south stuff. People think, oh well, the north south isn't going to be as good for these skill guys. It's actually better for these skill guys because it gives them the license to be more aggressive, to get to the net, to make plays, right? Instead of east west, oh, let's be patient, let's sit around for 10 years. No, get to the net. If you watch Nylander drove the net last night and crashed, I don't know if you saw any highlights after, but he ran into the net and took himself out, crashing the net.
I saw just the highlights that were on TSN this morning, which we'll see if we have TSN much longer. They're exploring a sale.
TSN?
TSN is, yeah.
Well, apparently they're running out of money because Rogers bought out Bell in the MLSE group, right? So,
hey, Amazon, go buy TSN and then just make a sports play, please.
I'd be okay if TSN was gone, honestly, because, well, I can't say that because they have a lot of other stuff.
I like TSN.
From the hockey perspective, Sportsnet is better now.
Yeah,
but but the third period they kind of sat back a lot, which is I hate that. You can't do that in the NHL. I can see it in the last 2 minutes. You're holding on. The other team pulls their goalie, right? But when you're doing it for a full period, you can't do that, especially against a team like that. Go get the win. Go attack the win. That doesn't mean go do stupid shit, but go get the win. Let's not sit back here. And the Ducks game was kind of like every time we got ahead by 2, they'd score like a minute later. We got up and Pacioretty gave us the 1-0 lead. Nylander scored to make it 2. They scored a minute later. And then in the second, Pacioretty scored to make us to get us up by 2 again. And then they went back and Lacombe scored for them, like maybe a little over a minute later again. And there wasn't a goal again for the rest of the game. Stolarz obviously looked really good. People have been critical of Berube for playing Stolarz 2 games in a row. I'm not really in that camp. He played really well against New Jersey, so you ride the hot hand, you play him again, right? Wall's going to play.
The only peculiar thing is they're coming into a Saturday, Sunday.
Well, they got the back-to-back. I'm sure Wall's going to play Saturday regardless, and then Stolarz would have played Sunday. It's not a big deal. I don't know.
It's not a big deal.
You
do have to start kind of limit testing a little bit in terms of like get ready for the playoffs.
You can't
playing multiple games in a row.
Oh well, this goalie has an injury history. Well, both our goalies have injury history. We're gonna sit here and lighten their load. They're already pretty much splitting time 50-50 as it is right now.
I think this is one of the few times that they didn't do.
They haven't done that in the past few weeks, right? So. Obviously, Wall's going to get a couple in a row here, maybe depending on how long Stolarz is out for. I imagine Hildeby probably will start Sunday, but then after that, Wall will get the net until Stolarz is back.
Yeah, because Sunday's Buffalo, Saturday's Red Wings.
It's pretty.
Sabres have been okay.
Yeah, they kind of back in the mix.
Neither are two slump teams.
Yeah. It's a good chance to get back on track here because they didn't play well. But honestly, Anaheim should have been a good chance to get back on track as well.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh, they just haven't. Nashville wasn't the worst game, but playing down to your opponents a little bit. Just expected it a little better. Hopefully, Stolarz gets back soon. A couple injury notes we touched on it. Pacioretty and Domi are both back. We all know my thoughts on Domi, and hasn't changed after watching him the last 2 games. He's been useless, just like always. So, and I think Minton keeps playing well, and he's proven my point that I said the other week. I think he should stay on the team, even if everyone's healthy. I think Minton should be on the team, playing third line.
Sent down Alex Nylander.
Yeah, Nylander had to clear waivers. He cleared, and they sent down Grabenkin, but I believe they called him back up again. Did somebody get hurt, or is it just a paper action?
McCabe's back.
McCabe missed 5 games, I think it was, but he came back Thursday, which is good. You need McCabe back. You love that McCabe Tanev shutdown pairing to go against the other team's best line. And honestly, I think it's really good for McCabe. McCabe is mostly seen as this he's supposed to be the steady guy, but McCabe is defensive, but he's actually really aggressive and he pinches a lot and he's physical. Where it's good that he has a guy like Tanev that Tanev is physical, but he's more stay at home. He just does the simple things right. I can't say enough about Tanev, honestly. He's been just so solid. You don't hear his name, and that's exactly what you want from a guy like him. Just eats shots. We could go on and on. We talk about him a lot, but just a really, really solid player, and that tandem works really well. Any other thoughts on the Leafs?
No. I mean, let's see what they do this weekend. It's good that they won last night. It's good that they pulled it together. He squeaked by against the Devils. Squeaked.
As brutal as they played against New Jersey, that's a really good win, and you need to win games like that sometimes, where you play like shit and still pull it out. You need to win games like that, and it's good to know we have the goaltending to do it.
It's you deserved to lose, but you won anyway.
Still got the dub. Still got the 2 points. Yeah. That's all that matters. Another thing I didn't touch on for transaction stuff. He didn't play a game, but we got him last year from Minnesota. Maybe it was the Dewar trade defenseman Dakota Mermis. Utah claimed him from us on waivers. He never played, so it's not really a big deal. But just a note there. Obviously, Utah has a lot of injuries on D, so he's probably a depth option for them. They picked him up. The last thing I had on the Leafs is just depth scoring seems to be an issue again. Obviously, Pacioretty got 2 last night, but other than that, you don't see much of it. It's been
been very quiet.
Yeah, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares have to carry the load offensively, even more so than usual, and obviously a lot more solid defensively, better goaltending. So there's less goals coming in, so we don't have to score as much. But at some point, further on,
getting a little bit more concerned with OEL and Riley both started out the season pretty good offensively, assist a couple goals, and they both cooled off a lot.
Yeah. Listen, OEL's we've talked about OEL playing PP1. Obviously, they're going 5 forwards PP1 now that Matthews is back and Knies has played his way onto that first power play and nobody else has played poorly enough to get demoted. I just think that OEL at this stage in his career, he did a really good job in Florida of resurrecting all the bad things that happened from Vancouver, where he kind of was an offensive defenseman in Arizona previously. He was kind of two-way, but he was a little more offensive, where he's kind of redefined his game a little bit last year in Florida to be more of a defensive guy, to be more solid, to be a little more physical. He's a big guy. And just like be solid. I don't need you to go around lighting a lamp. But it's just like you do need a little bit of scoring touch. And then you touched on Riley, and he's the main one, right? He's supposed to be the guy, offensive defenseman.
Jumps in the rush, drives the net every once in a while, and it just hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah. But I just think more so the forwards, right? Like obviously Robertson's been getting scratched a lot lately. We expect a little more from him. Knies has cooled off on the score sheet a little bit the past couple weeks. He's still doing everything, all the little things right, but just on the score sheet, he's cooled off a bit. Pacioretty got 2 the other night, but other than that, we haven't really seen much offensively from him. I know that's not entirely his role anymore, but he's still in the top 6. You still need a little bit of point production. Domi has been really disappointing again. Obviously, just coming back, but previously before that, just like last year, him and Bertuzzi was the big topic of conversation, and it just isn't working offensively. But yeah, hopefully somebody steps up. Maybe there's a move to be made. I don't know. We'll see. That's all I had to leave. Any thoughts?
Are you believing any of these Nas rumors?
No. No, definitely not. We can't afford it anyway. It's looking more and more like Marner's probably going to stay, which means he's going to get at least with Nylander. It's
like
probably more. Obviously, Tavares will be less, but he's playing well too, so it won't be. It won't be what we want it to be. It might be 5 or 6 instead of 3 or 4. So
it's the double sword with both those guys because it's contract year and they're both actually turning up.
Yeah. But again, we wait till the playoffs when it matters.
Yep.
To really judge stuff. But it looks. Honestly, are they Leafs really thinking about waiting until the playoffs if they want to keep Marner? They probably don't want to wait until after the playoffs to sign him. They're going to probably want to do it before the playoffs, and they're not going to do it during the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't happen before April, it probably won't happen until June, and then we'll see. We'll go from there, but
we'll see.
That's it on Toronto.
Yeah.
A lot of news, a lot of transaction news since we last spoke. We want to start. Let's start New York because that's the crazy one.
Bye. So you don't want to go? We'll put you on waivers.
Yeah. So the New York Rangers have traded captain Jacob Trouba to the Anaheim Ducks for Urho Vakinainen and a 2025 4th-round pick. More so, what was coming out throughout the day, the Rangers basically forced Trouba's hand, saying, you need to waiver no move for one of these deals that we have on the table. Otherwise, you're going on waivers and you're gone. And he actually said that he said no to going to Columbus. They had a deal with Columbus, and he said no. But then he accepted the Anaheim one. Maybe he thinks he can help the young guys there grow and mature a little bit. We obviously saw him
It's curious what caused, why Anaheim?
Yeah. The Ducks probably just a little bit of know-how. It seems like Fowler's probably going to go by the deadline. Gibson's probably going to go by the deadline. So the Ducks need some vets in there to help the young guys out. And he's a physical guy, and everyone's talking about him and Gudas lighting guys up. There'll be a lot of hitting from the back end. But the most interesting part for me is just all the drama going on. The Rangers, they didn't go out and say it like Boston with Swayman. They didn't go out and torch the guy in the media, but they made it known to all the GMs across the league, we don't want him anymore. We're looking to deal him. Come get him. Pretty much in the offseason. And when that became public, they still kept the C on his jersey. Or kind of like, if the Leafs could move Tavares, take the cats away from Tavares and give it to Matthews, and it's more of like just passing the torch. You think the Rangers could do it? I don't know. Maybe you're thinking Adam Fox, a guy like that. He's kind of the future of the team. I don't know.
The whole situation feels so bizarre.
Yeah, it's strange. How do you go in the locker room after knowing that they want to get rid of you, and all these guys are in the room? Like, how am I supposed to look up to this guy when he could get dealt in 2 days?
Literally. And if you're one of those older players or those players who are on the decline and the Rangers are frustrated, who would want or okay, you've now freed up some cap space, you've now got some positions they're going to look to acquire. If they want to switch things up even further, who the hell wants to go to New York now? Why would you want to go to New York as a player? Because your no moves mean nothing.
Yeah, it means nothing. Yeah, basically. Because Trouba, they tried to do it, and Trouba said, "No, I have no move. I'm not leaving. I don't want to leave." He said that in the offseason. But basically, things have just gotten worse and worse, and they finally just said, "We can't do this anymore." The craziest part about the trade is that the Rangers didn't have to retain any money.
Yeah.
I don't know how they pulled that off. Because that's a lot of money for a guy
who's not scoring goals.
Well, he's not. He's a defensive defenseman, but I want to know who's making the decisions here. 3 years ago, you're giving this guy the captaincy, and then now you're tossing him out the window. You're threatening to put him on waivers. Like, what is going on here?
You made me want to get screened for breast cancer. I don't know if you've seen those commercials. He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? With their newfound cap space, immediately after the trade, maybe calm down the panic. The New York Rangers extended goaltender Igor Shesterkin to an 8-year, $92 million deal, which comes out to $11.5 million AAV. It isn't really a big jump from what he rejected in the offseason. It was $11 million a year. It's only $500,000 more. Maybe he's thinking he gets the term as a goalie, get the term. Maybe that's the thinking. I don't know. They were saying he wanted to be the highest paid player in the team. He's not. Panarin still makes more. So I'm not sure what happened there, but obviously
I don't understand a goalie saying that. Like, why is that important to you? Like, you're already the highest paid goaltender in the league, I believe.
History. Like no goalie's ever made this much money.
So it's like, why do you feel the need to even make it public? I want to be the highest paid player on the team. Why?
I don't think he
at all important to you.
I don't think he made it public. I think it just came out. That was one of the reasons why he said no. But he didn't come out and say that, right? Like that was just somebody.
That's dumb shit if he did.
Yeah, I listen. Everyone wants we can't compare it to normal everyday jobs because everyone goes to work to make money, just like these guys go to work to make. At the end of the day, they're still getting paid. It's still a job, right? Obviously, when you're making money in the millions, is $500,000 really going to make that much of a difference? No, not really. You're a millionaire. I think you're set, right? But anyway, point being, I don't hate the guy. Like I don't think it's a bad thing that he went out and did that. Obviously, team morale a little bit probably doesn't help. I don't know because now you got Panarin making over 11. You got Shesterkin making over 11. You've gotten Trouba out of there, but Fox is making probably decent money. Zibanejad's making decent money, and he's not producing anymore.
Yep.
Interesting that Kreider. Interesting. We'll see what happens with Kreider too, because it is a little weird that when the Rangers went to name a captain, they chose Trouba and not Kreider because Kreider's been there over a decade.
Yeah.
So obviously they saw something there that they said this guy isn't. Maybe we can see ourselves moving on from him, and that still seems to be a thing. I don't know. I can't. Honestly, I'm based on what Kreider's done in the playoffs. I think I'd want to keep Kreider before Zibanejad.
I think so. I think Zibanejad is falling off quickly.
Yeah, he's playing third line center right now.
Yeah, he's not playing well at all. Like the whole team isn't, but it's like watching him play, and I've been tuning into a few more Rangers games. You don't know when he's on the ice if it weren't for his hair.
Honestly, like his intangibles aren't great either. So if he's not producing, it's so glaringly obvious that he's not doing anything, right?
I don't know where he is in his contract, but he's making too much for the production that he's output.
Yeah. Obviously, the Rangers have made it clear, so maybe he's one of the guys, and we just didn't get a report. I'm going to see what these guys make here. Teams. Zibanejad. Oh, he's still got 5 years left, and he makes 8.5 a year. Kreider has 2 years left after this year. He makes 6.5. Those are gonna be hard to move.
You're not moving Zibanejad. You're just not.
Fox makes 9.5, but he is young and he's gonna be there a long time, so it makes sense. Outside of that, Trocheck makes 5.63, but he's still solid. Panarin's still producing. Lafreniere got that extension, so I believe that kicks in next year. So you still got to pay him too. Yeah, it's interesting.
Other moves.
There's other things going on with the Rangers that hasn't actually happened yet, but there's tons of rumors. So there's big rumors that the Rangers are trying to bring Brady Tkachuk in from Ottawa. And the Sens owner, or the Sens, there was a Sens owner. The Sens owner accused the Rangers of soft tampering. And the Rangers came out and declined that, saying, no, we're not doing that. That's nonsense. Who do we believe here?
I'm very much on the side of Ottawa. I think that New York is absolutely tampering.
What's your definition of tampering here? Okay.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, it's like you're putting stuff into the rumor mills. You're kind of like approaching a player without approaching a player. It's no different than you're sending, your buddy to go tell this girl in the schoolyard that you think she's cute. Like
Like,
that's literally what's going on.
do we think they're going to go to Four Nations and Adam Fox is going to go to Brady Tkachuk and say, "Come on over"? Brady Tkachuk's not the GM of the Ottawa Senators. He doesn't decide if he gets traded or not.
No, but I think it's a roundabout way to be like you're doing a check to be like, hey Brady, how happy are you?
Yeah,
How happy are you?
yeah.
Plant the seed to be like, oh, New York wants me.
Because you can't.
Geez, maybe I could really make a difference there. Like, I do think it's tampering. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's disrespectful to the other teams and organizations who are following the rules, who are respectful when doing this. Like, this is a big deal, especially when the rumor mill and the media are just gonna drag this through everything. So I do think it's not a good look for New York, and I do think Ottawa has a case to make of what the hell are you doing?
I disagree. I
Okay,
believe
let's hear
that.
it.
I disagree. I just because if the Rangers make calls about Kachuk, that doesn't mean it's tampering. They're not talking to the guy personally.
No, but they're leaking stuff.
How do you know?
Yeah,
You don't
they're
know that.
talking without
Shit gets
talking.
out. You know how much stuff has gotten leaked that they don't want to get out? That doesn't mean they're going out and saying, "Oh, we're gonna get Brady Kachuk" because some guy on TSN or Sportsnet or some podcast said
No,
we're getting the Brady Kachuk's going to New York. That doesn't
but
mean shit. That's just it could
they're
just be a
talk
rumor. We
they're
don't even
talking
know if the
to him
Rangers
without
even said
talking
anything.
to him. You're talking to him without talking to him.
Exactly.
That's
But
what I think this is.
okay, but any team could do that because at the end of the day, the Sens suck. Brady Kachuk saw his brother win a cup last year. He hasn't even been in the playoffs yet. He's not going to wait around forever for the Sens to get good. They got to wake their asses up. I think the Sens have a history of being poopy pants about everything. They're soft as shit. Grow up. Just say no. How hard is that?
I get it. I get it.
Don't be soft. Come on now.
I just think it's like if you're gonna throw this out, then suddenly I don't know. Especially when this situation is really bad in Ottawa, maybe this just plants something in Brady's head where he's like, he requests a trade. Where suddenly this is something that gets him off the line to be like, really good teams are interested in me and are looking to kind of maybe they open up some cap space. There's moving parts here. Maybe I need to start looking out for myself. And I think that is that's a tough thing to navigate as a team when okay, are you just gonna have players start refusing like to play or stuff like that?
But I don't listen. I don't think Brady
And
Kachuk's the type of guy that would do that. And
no, and I don't either. Just to be clear,
yeah, I also don't think that if the Rangers are trying to show some interest in him, I don't think it's the first time Brady Kachuk was thinking maybe Ottawa's not the place for me. I don't think he needs a team to tell him for him to think that. I think he can think that all on his own because he's been here how many years and it hasn't panned out. And a lot of people are comparing the situation to his brother's situation, but there's a big difference. Matt only had 1 year left on his deal, so he had a lot more leverage. Brady doesn't have that leverage. He has years left on his deal, and he can't just go and the Sens don't have to. For his brother's case, they could just say, well, Kachuk will just play out the last year and he'll just go for nothing. So Calgary basically he played their hand and said, trade me now or I go for nothing. Ottawa doesn't have to do that. Ottawa can stay strong and say, you're staying here.
I also think I don't think Brady wants to move. Like end of the day, do I think it's like actually affecting Brady Kachuk? No, I don't. I don't think Brady wants to move. I think Brady has a lot of control in that organization. I think he's building a team around him, and they've got a lot of young guys that give them a couple years. Ottawa is going to be nasty. I think they're making right moves. I think Giroux's been a great leader in the room to show these guys, and frankly, his production's been really good as Brady's matured into the league. And Brady's incredible hockey player. I love the way Brady Tkachuk plays hockey, but I do think it's like from a broader perspective, I don't like what New York's doing, and I know it's them doing it. I just think it's like,
you don't know that.
come on.
You don't know. It could just be rumors. It's nonsense. Why? What? Because they called Ottawa and asked what it would take. That's plenty of teams to do that.
I'm not against like call and ask. There's nothing wrong with that. That's going through proper channels. It's the leaking to media that, oh, we're trying to reach out about this, and like, because
doesn't mean they're doing it. It could be somebody else leaking it.
Yeah, but it's not. It's
all the shit that's leaked in the off season about the Rangers and even throughout the season that they don't want to get leaked. You don't think it's possible that something got out that they didn't want to get out? I don't think the Rangers wanted it leaked that they're trying to trade the whole team because they suck. They're trying to trade their captain, right? I don't disagree on your take saying that I don't think Brady wants to leave Ottawa, but I think at some point his will to win is going to take over, and if things don't change, I'm not saying it's going to be this year.
They've got to continue to progress for him.
They need to get back.
Agree to stay there.
I think they need to start getting better now. It's been too many years of the same thing.
You need some momentum.
They need to get better now.
Yeah.
So do we think outside of Tkachuk, do we think the Rangers are making any more deals before the deadline?
I think so. Yeah. I think they're going to clear a little house.
Yeah. Because it's not going well. It still hasn't been going well. Basically, I would imagine that anyone is fair game outside of Shesterkin, Fox, Panarin, Lafreniere, and Trocheck. Yeah. And Trocheck. Everyone else is fair game.
Yeah. Because Trocheck's on good money. That's good money for Trocheck. My gosh.
And he's still good. And he's a perfect playoff guy.
Yeah. I think everyone else is fair game.
I think Kakko could be gone.
Kakko, it honestly, like,
Kakko will be easy to deal.
It really depends on what's their approach. One, I think that absolutely, I think they're still trading. I think there's still plenty of moves to make. It's has management and owners decided we're blowing it up? How bad?
Well, no, I don't think they're blowing it up. I think they're just trying to get other people in because they've been a good team for a long time, but it hasn't worked. They're not winning.
If it was,
we need to change something.
If they completely want to redefine their team, I would agree with that entire list. I could see Panarin shifting if it is we want to dramatically change where we're going with the team.
I think if they're going to do the dramatic change, it won't be till the offseason. I think they're going to give some of these guys, like the guys that are still playing well, like Panarin, like Trocheck, like actually Lafreniere hasn't been great since he signed the extension, but I think he's still one of the future
I still think he's safe. They just invested him, and I think he's got a lot more to go.
But obviously, like guys like Kreider, guys like Zibanejad, but Kakko is going to be a lot easier to deal because of the money he's on.
Yeah.
That's why I could see him going. It has never really panned out. He's a decent depth forward. He plays his role decently well, but it just never panned out. He was supposed to be this big goal scorer, and it never really happened, right? So I could see a guy like that. Keandre Miller is a big one in the rumors as well.
He's hurt now.
Yeah, he is hurt. He hasn't had his best season.
No, it's not even not his best. It's been a really bad season for Keandre Miller.
Pretty much anyone, it's fair game on the decor outside of Fox.
Yeah.
And Shesterkin and Quick are keeping this team afloat. And really, Shesterkin's been keeping this team afloat for a long time. They're not good 5-on-5. They're not a good defensive team. They don't play.
I'm willing to acknowledge that now because last year I loved the Rangers. I thought they were going to go deep.
They're a talented team. They're a good team, but goaltending papers over a lot of cracks.
Yeah.
All right. Enough of the headline hogs there. A couple other notes. So Colorado has acquired goaltender Mackenzie Blackwood, Giovanni Smith, and a 2027 fifth-round pick from the San Jose Sharks in exchange for Alexander Gorgiev, Nikolai Kovalenko, a conditional 2025 fifth-round pick, and a 2026 second-round pick. And the Avs will retain 14% of Gorgiev's salary. So the Avs have traded away the completely cleaned house in that.
Yeah. Anunin gone, Gorgiev gone.
Yeah. And now they're going with the Woods. Wedgwood and Blackwood.
I like the move for Colorado. Like I really do.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's honestly enough. Like, was that really enough for Wedgwood or Blackwood? Sorry.
I actually think Greer did a really good job in this deal because I think they gave up like a fifth-round pick to get Blackwood in the first place, and then they got all this in return. I think that's decent. I think that's solid. I think Gorgiev has shown in the past that he's a solid NHL goalie. I think he just lost his game a little bit. Maybe he gets away. He goes through it's a lot less pressure in San Jose. The team isn't good. They're not in a big hockey market. Maybe he finds his game a little bit, right? He never had the pressure before New York because Shesterkin was the guy. He was kind of the two. And then Colorado brought him in. He actually played really well in the first half of last season. He made the All-Star game. But then in the back half, it didn't work out. And the Avs have been very ruthless with goalies over the past couple of years. They won the cup and Kemper was gone. So
is this a win-win?
It could be a win-win. It's good value for the Sharks. We'll see. Blackwood has obviously played well since he's been in San Jose. We'll see if he can handle a big workload for a team that has cup aspirations, right? We're yet to see. They gave Kovalenko's gone. Obviously hasn't really panned out. He just started playing with them this year. And the Avs also still have to pay a little bit of Georgiev's salary. So that's
how much is he retaining?
The Avs retain 14% of the salary, which it's not a lot, but it's like it's not like the guy makes $10 million. He makes what, $5 million? Yeah, you have to wait and see.
It gives you a little flexibility. It's like $600,000-$700,000.
San Jose is not trying to win now. They're trying to get better, but they're not trying to win now. They're still years away, right? And we talked about Celebrini a lot, and he's been amazing. And Will Smith is starting to play better. San Jose is starting to look better, but they're still not in win now mode.
Right.
So maybe Gorgiev finds his game, and in a couple of years when the Sharks are ready, there you go. And they can get a couple more young pieces in, top 5 picks, and help them out. The Avs, it's kind of just they're desperate. They're desperate in that.
Yeah. They're just trying anything because it's like if we have guys in our prime today.
Yeah, this guy's playing well. Okay, let's go get him.
Yeah.
It hasn't panned out with Gorgiev, unfortunately.
Didn't work.
It didn't work. Anything else? Giovanni Smith isn't really a big play here. He's just a depth guy.
Yeah.
No. Okay. The other big news was Chicago has fired head coach Luke Richardson and promoted AHL Rockford coach Anders Sorensen to the interim head coaching job with the big club. He is, I believe they said, the 3rd or 4th European head coach in NHL history, and the second for Chicago.
He's a Swede, I believe.
Yeah.
See what he does. I mean, I think they won. Did they win last night?
I believe
Bedard had a nasty goal. I think they ended up.
Yeah, I think they won. I feel bad for Richardson. Richardson kind of got thrown into the situation where it's never going to really work out for him. It's one of those jobs where it's like that's a young team. They're not expecting to be good now. And it's kind of he's going to carry them for a bit. And then when they're ready to get good, they're going to bring somebody else in. And no, Chicago blew it last night. They lost to the Islanders.
Yeah, that's when they were up like 5-1 and then ended like 5-4 and Patrick Wall was
we're gonna get to
lose his mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Chicago, it's not going well.
No.
Again,
you're not getting the most of the team. Your team sucks. But Darby's drowning with a pile to do nothing with. Nothing's working. I get being like, let's try something new. Let's just do different systems. I don't know.
I just find it a lot like the Boston situation with Montgomery. What is he supposed to do?
Yeah,
Like that
and this
roster,
may be
the roster.
it may be Buddy leaves and goes somewhere else and gets a much better situation
Yeah,
to walk into.
I would imagine he probably gets an assistant job somewhere because he's still a young coach. And go get an assistant job somewhere, work his way back up to a head coaching job. But like Chicago brings in these guys in the offseason that are kind of like middling guys. They think, oh, we're it's so that we're competitive this year. And it actually made them worse. Like it hasn't worked. Like you can't rely on guys like Bertuzzi to be one of your main guys. Hall isn't that player anymore. Guys like that, like Foligno was playing fourth line for all these playoff teams the past couple of years, and he found stability in Chicago. He's playing first, second line. He's not that type of player.
Teravainen was playing all throughout the line in Carolina.
I would say Teravainen's the only one that sniffs top six, and even then, I consider him a second line guy.
If second line.
He played top six for Carolina.
At one point, he was playing fourth line.
Yeah, that was just.
He went up and down that roster.
Yeah, he went up and down the lineup, but
shoots and ladders.
For the most part, Teravainen's been a second line player.
Yeah,
but they're not bringing guys in that are gonna. You're saying you're bringing guys in to help Bedard, but you're not. You're just bringing in depth guys that make too much money for what they do. I don't know. It's just another case of, listen, maybe Richardson's not the guy, but he got the short end of the stick here. If I'm being honest, I maybe it was time to move on. It wasn't working. They are worse than last year. They want to get better, but you can only do so much with what you have, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the brutal reality with Chicago right now.
Chicago is just going to have to keep sucking and keep getting lottery picks. And that's the way you got to do it. None of this quick rebuild. You already blew it all up to get Bedard. Why are you trying to rush it now? Take your time. Relax.
It's Bedard's second season.
Exactly. Chill out.
You're fine. You're fine. Let the guy play. Yeah. You're fine.
Just relax. Yeah. Anyway, anything else on Chicago? I don't really know much on Sorensen. I'm assuming they'll ride out the rest of the season with him and then see if he gets the job in the summer.
Yeah.
They'll see who's available.
Yeah.
Okay. Buffalo. Did you see what GM Kevin Adams had to say this week?
I did not see this unless this is the thing that I saw was 6K retweeted something that liked a post that no one wants to play in Buffalo.
Yeah, this is it.
Is this it? Okay.
So Kevin Adams basically said it is taken a little bit out of context if you actually listen to the whole interview instead of just that clip. Obviously, people clip shit and make it sound different than what it is. But basically, Kevin Adams said Buffalo isn't a destination for players. It's snowy. We don't have palm trees. We don't have no state tax. We have high taxes. It's not a destination for players to come to. Now, he isn't wrong.
He's not wrong.
But
he's not wrong at all. Buffalo
isn't something you want to say out loud.
No. No.
Probably not. It's just sad. Every week we come on here, we talk about Buffalo, Ottawa, Detroit, and we say 1 week, this Buffalo looks better this week, and then they shit the bed. And Ottawa looks better this week, and they shit the bed. Detroit looks better this week, they shit the bed. None of these teams want to take the next step. Boston sucks this year. Take the next step. This is your chance. Go do it. No. If you look at some of the players that Buffalo has had, and look at what they've done since they've left Buffalo.
Eichel went and won a cup.
Eichel went and won the cup.
Reinhart, was it like the next year he won a cup? 2 years?
Maybe this 2 years, the second year. Reinhart was in Buffalo. He's one of the best goal scorers in the NHL, won a cup. Like there's plenty of guys out there that they have good players. So it's not the players. There's something in the system. It's a culture thing in Buffalo. They go and hire a coach that was their coach 15 years ago that had success back then, but he isn't really in touch with today's NHL.
I can't believe they did that.
It's time to move on here. Like, change something. Don't just go back.
And you have talent on there right now.
When
You
does that
do have talent.
Like, Tage Thompson is a lot older than people think he is. Like, he's like 27, 28.
So prime.
He's in his prime, but I think
Literally.
people think he's like 24, 25. He's not.
Nope.
Like, Huck isn't gonna wait around forever. Like, yeah, okay, Dahlin's young, Power's young, but like some point you got to get better here. And
yeah,
they have talent. They just Peterka had a really good year last year. Hasn't panned out year two. So
not as much. He's doing okay, but he's not. Yeah,
Buffalo is just he's not wrong. There's no palm trees, high state tax. It's tough to get people in.
Snowy as hell.
I know that was a topic. They had the meetings this week in Florida. And I know that was a big topic for teams that do have a lot of taxes to pay, whether it's province or state. Those teams are trying to get it so that it evens out. I don't know how it'll work.
Even in Canada, it's like you have provincial tax and then you have federal tax. It's like you lose a lot. Taxes are tough here,
especially Ontario, right? You look at Ontario, you look at New York, you look at like California, high taxes, right?
Well, Ontario is one of the friendlier in Canada, but it's still very tough.
Still very high, yeah. And they're just kind of Ontario's kind of saved. Well, there's two teams, but Toronto saved just because it's the biggest hockey market in the world, right? That's basically the only reason they attract talent. And even then, they weren't attracting talent until they drafted these young guys and got good again.
You think Dion Phaneuf wasn't a good hockey player? You think Phil Kessel wasn't a good hockey player?
They're decent NHL players, but they weren't. Them being your best players isn't winning because we saw that it didn't work. But yeah, you go to Florida. Why is Florida and Tampa good all the time? Why is Dallas good all the time? Nashville's been good for a long time. Obviously not this year, but they were able to splash the cash this summer. It hasn't worked out, but guys will take a little less on paper, but they don't have to pay the tax. So it's actually
take home pay.
Yeah. That's why guys in Toronto, guys that play in New York, guys that play in California need to take more money, because if they want to be one of the higher paid guys, they have to take that little bit more, because they're not going to actually get all that take home. Yeah. Anyway, we're getting off the rails a little bit, but my point being,
we're going into a sensitive zone here for me personally.
Some of the teams that struggle with tax purposes to sign players have been really pushing a way to even it out so that it's not unfair, so that teams that are in no state tax places aren't at this much of an advantage. Especially
if you just get traded. Like, it's nothing you did. You just traded and suddenly your paycheck is 30% less.
Exactly. You get traded to I actually wanted to talk about Dallas. Dallas is one of the teams with the Seguin injury. Look how much cap room Dallas has now. Dallas going to go make a move. Seguin still makes a lot of money from before.
Is he really?
Yeah.
It's Seguin. Tyler Seguin. Seguin.
Sorry.
Because he's old.
Asian police are here. Let's see.
Not a young player. He's been around forever.
No, but just based on like what he made before, he makes $9.85 million. So they've pretty much freed up $10 million.
Hey, Brady Tkachuk.
LTIR.
Hey, Brady.
Work the magic. You know who I was thinking for Dallas?
Who?
Just because there was rumors out. I don't think it's true. But there was rumors out this week that Dylan Larkin asked for a trade out of Detroit. Now, people have smacked this down and said it's not true. But if Larkin is growing tired, that's a really good two-way center.
That would be
Dallas has the money.
Disgusting.
LTIR.
If that happens.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think Yzerman's going to do that because of all the work they've done. And basically, if Yzerman does that, he's basically giving up and he won't have a job next year. So
I mean, people are already criticizing Yzerman and
That's my point. Like they're saying it's not working. If Yzerman goes out and says this hasn't worked and we've wasted the past 5-6 years,
Final nail.
he's probably gone, right? So unless if Larkin were to come out and say I want out,
Different story.
and I'm not playing unless I go out, then maybe it would happen. But yeah, I kind of mixed those two things in together. That was just an idea. But yeah, Dallas could go out and make some moves to go win the cup this year. Work some Vegas LTIR magic here.
It's compelling. It's compelling at a minimum.
And no state tax. So if you make 10 million, you make 10 million, take home.
Hey, Dylan.
Yeah, you never know. But yeah, Buffalo's a dumpster fire. And just Kevin Adams is not helping. Not sure why you put that there, but yeah,
Pekka liked the post, which is what I saw.
He's probably he's probably fed up playing behind that every night. Fuck that. Okay, couple injury things and waivers and stuff. Trevor Zegras has knee surgery for a torn meniscus. He's out 6 weeks, which is apparently a lot better than what people thought it was going to be. It didn't look good.
Anything.
That it was no non-contact, and those are always the worst ones for knee injuries. But 6 weeks for a knee surgery is pretty damn good.
Trevor Zegras does not want to play in the NHL anyway. Let's be real. He does not want to play in the NHL. He very capable. He doesn't want to play.
On his own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Vancouver had some good news this week. Thatcher Demko is back in net. Fantastic news. And Kevin Lankinen is still playing very well. Another shutout last night, third shutout of the year.
I think Demko lost his return, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah, you got to bet him in here. It's going to take a bit. Also, JT Miller returned last night. So obviously the US, I believe, is coming.
Yes.
So they took him on the team, right?
Yes.
Hopefully everything's all right with Miller. Good to see him back.
Yeah. Said he didn't want to be asked about it. No problem.
Yeah. No problem for us. Problem for the actual media.
Hey.
Miller and Pettersson, there's kind of a big thing out there that they don't get along very well. So we'll see how that.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that being true.
We'll see how that plays out. If it is true, how it plays out, because Pettersson was buzzing while Miller was out.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it plays out. But it's good for Vancouver. I feel like Miller is kind of like the emotional leader. I know he's not the actual captain, but he's a vet in the room and maybe probably helps out Hughes a lot. And Demko, obviously, Lankinen is playing well, but Demko's the guy, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Go to Washington. Somehow Ovechkin is skating already.
Skating. How many weeks has it been? 3, 4?
Probably less. Hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
3 at the most.
He's skating. He's in procedure. They were estimating what? 6 weeks?
I believe they said 4 to 6 weeks originally.
I am astounded he is skating.
Yeah.
But I love it too.
It's Ovi, so no surprise there. And another guy in Washington, I don't know if you saw this week. See Tom Wilson this week?
No.
Tom Wilson took a shot to the face. His face.
Oh, yes.
Was this
the interview after the game? It was past his ear.
Master. Buddy goes in, gets the work done, comes back out, scores 2 goals.
I did remember seeing an interview being like, what the hell's going on here? I didn't see the actual shot.
That's Ovi and Wilson, those are your 2 leaders, and that's what they're doing. Those guys, Washington's for real. Washington could if you look at the rest of the Metro, the teams that are in the Metro, we talked about the Rangers and we talked about the Devils being too soft in the playoffs. Come playoff time, Washington isn't that. They're not too soft.
Let's see. They beat the Blue Jackets. They beat Canadians this week. They beat us. They
Not slowing down.
lost to San Jose.
They look for real.
They do look for real. They look real good. Yeah, they're tearing it up. Oh my gosh.
So we'll see. But yeah, they're in the mix. They have guys willing to do that. They're in the mix for sure. Okay, staying in the Metro.
Sorry, not to jump around. It's not even like they started hot. The fact that they're sustaining it is unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone expected them to still be this good, right?
No.
With your
Okay,
boy,
sorry.
PLD.
PLD.
Staying in the Metro, Carolina placed Brendan Lemieux on waivers for mutual contract termination, and they did terminate his contract, and he has since signed a 3-year deal in Switzerland. So I imagine he's probably done in the NHL. Was kind of a pest guy, kind of bounced around the league. I do remember him. He played for the Windsor Spitfires when I worked at the arena. And just a piece of shit to play against. But wish him well. Obviously, it didn't really pan out in the NHL. So, but I'm sure he'll find his way in Europe. More roster stuff. Edmonton placed former Maple Leaf Travis Dermott on waivers, and he was claimed by Minnesota today after Minnesota put Jake Middleton on LTIR.
That's actually kind of interesting. I don't know. Curious how he does in Minnesota. Who will he be line mates with?
I'd imagine he'll be on the third pairing. I'm not sure what if Middleton was second pairing or first pairing. Let's see here. But Minnesota isn't slowing down either. I think they got pumped by Edmonton the other night, who Edmonton is starting to pick it up a bit. But Middleton was on the first pairing.
Interesting.
I would imagine that Bogosian or Merrill moves up to the second pairing, and then probably maybe Spurgeon or Chisholm goes to the first pairing, and then Dermott comes in.
Spurgeon's been playing really well.
Yeah. Just a solid leader, does a job, right?
Yeah.
Minnesota that's full of teams. They could make a run if they get in. And Gustafson's playing well.
Yep.
Get Fleury a run, even if he doesn't play. Dermott, obviously, it hasn't really worked out in the NHL for him. He made early strides with the Leafs a little bit, but he never took the next step. And he's kind of bounced around since then. And other waiver news, Pierre Engvall was placed on waivers for the second time this year by the Islanders.
Second time.
Yeah. So this just shows you that this is proof, right? All these depth Leafs guys that the Leafs had, they're all bouncing around everywhere because they couldn't afford quality depth players, because they paid those 4 or 5 players too much money. Engvall, it hasn't panned out. Dermott's bounced around. We hear Kapanen bounce around everywhere. Jansson's not even in the league anymore, and he bounced around a lot, right? Tons of guys bouncing around that I'm going to call them out. Dubas thought were going to be helpful, but weren't. And they just goes to show you, right, what depth can do. Maybe we stay with the Islanders and talk about Patrick Waugh.
Yes, please.
So Patrick Waugh, after the game, it was last night, right, where they were up 5-1, and they ended up hanging on and winning 5-4. But Patrick Waugh absolutely torches his team and defends his goalie, Sorokin, which is weird because he hasn't really been playing Sorokin as much. He has more recently, but Varlamov has kind of seen the guy. He's liked Varlamov better since he's been in New York. But he's defending Sorokin. He pretty much said, if that was me in the net back in my day, there would have been sticks flying in the dressing room after that game.
Patrick, we know. The fact that it was only 6 flying in that room is the surprising part.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it because he's right. There's an element, again, coming from highlights and watching this morning, it's like they were very lax in letting those goals. They scored with like 8 seconds left.
Yeah.
Like you didn't clue in or like, and they had Biron kind of giving his 2 thoughts on it. And it is like stats matter. Like it's a very different leaving a game being like we won 5-1. Like I was pretty much lights out tonight versus 5-4 and my team left me out to dry.
Yeah,
that's not a good culture.
A win's a win, but at the same time, it's a confidence thing, right? You go out, you say, okay, we won 5-1, 5-2, we played really well. Great. But you play 2 good periods and play a bad third period, and you only win 5-4, the coach is pissed. Honestly, I don't think if they lose the game, I don't think he probably doesn't say anything. He might say something, but not to that extent. I don't think he does. I think it's just the fact that they won, and he kind of saw an opportunity like, okay, we need to wake up here, or we're going to take it on a night that we won.
It's not that far off from what we were saying with the Leafs and Devils. It's like in the Leafs case, it was you deserve to lose and you got the win. In this one, it was you deserve to lose and you got the win to a degree as well, because that third period was just seemingly atrocious.
Yeah.
The Islanders time to wake up. Don't be happy with that.
The Islanders are stuck in purgatory. They're just not. Yeah. I know Barzal's starting to skate. They're going to get some guys back here. There's a couple of guys coming back from injury, so maybe they'll be a little bit better. But they're always going to be in and around. Maybe just miss the playoff. Maybe you just get in and then first round exit, right?
Yeah.
They have like Horvat's actually. Horvat has decent numbers this year.
He's been okay.
But the team as a whole, it's just not there. Yeah. Okay. Touching on a couple of new coaches with the Boston drama. The Blues look a lot better under Jim Montgomery. And the Bruins have been winning more under Sacco. Now, a lot of people have pointed out for the Sacco stuff, Boston is still not winning every game. It's still kind of win, lose. And the teams they're beating are not good teams. They're beating up on bad teams. But a win's a win.
If you're them, you take it. Take that momentum.
Exactly.
You're not in a position to be selective with your wins.
Also, Boston's in third in the Atlantic right now somehow.
I saw the other night. How? I noticed that the other night. I'm like, on what planet?
Tampa has slowed down a lot. They had a decent start, but they've slowed down a lot. And then the Bermuda Triangle just doesn't take the next step. And toss Montreal in there too. They've been shit. Montreal did horrible. Montreal got absolutely pumped by Pittsburgh last night, 9-2.
9-2.
9-2
against Pittsburgh.
Who's actually been better recently, but come on now. Anyway,
not that good.
But yeah, Boston, they're winning more under Sacco. It seems to be working out okay. And
you know what? Mutually beneficial parting ways. Nothing wrong with that, guys. Yeah. Even if just for the short term.
Yeah, and St. Louis has looked a little better under Montgomery. They're freed up a little bit offensively, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to touch on LA.
Okay.
LA is quietly, nobody's talking about LA. They're going about their business. They're buzzing. LA is good.
Listen, I need to backtrack a little bit here. My guy, Trevor Moore, who I was complaining about for weeks, has absolutely woken up.
Yeah.
From assists to goals, the guy is turning it on. I have no idea how Kopitar puts on skates, but my gosh, when he puts them on, he scores goals.
I want to talk about Kopitar. Kopitar is 37, 38 years old.
Yep.
Still produces at this clip at that age and is still an elite defensive player. Still a very good two-way center. The Kings still make the playoffs pretty much every year.
Yep.
They're second in the Pacific right now. They're point up on Edmonton. Could they plateau a little bit? Probably, because Vancouver and Edmonton are going to start to pick it up a little bit. But Kopitar, I feel, is disrespected.
He's not talked about often enough.
A lot of that
he is.
A lot of that has to do with where he plays, but he's won 2 cups as probably the best player on the team. The best
Oh,
forward
yeah.
on the team anyway, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
they had good goaltending, they had good D, but and just like looking back on it, like talking about defensive forwards, how is Kopitar not higher up that list? Like Kopitar is I feel like Kopitar is this might be a hot take. I feel like Kopitar is a better player than Bergeron was.
That is a hot take.
If you look at it, Bergeron was the best face-off man in the league by far. But Kopitar's still a really good face-off man. Defensively, they're both just as good. Kopitar's a lot bigger. And if you look at point production, so actual two-way play, so point production, offensive goes into it, two-way play, Kopitar puts up way more points than Bergeron ever did. Bergeron was not that great offensively. Bergeron was an elite defensive center, but he wasn't terrible offensively, but he wasn't that great. Kopitar is a point per game guy, still at 37, 38. He's on pace for his highest points total right now. And he's 30, almost 40. Wow. I think he's disrespected. He has 2 more cups on teams that were not as good. The Kings got in, barely making the playoffs the 2 years they won the cup. They were nowhere near the top of the standings. They got in and won anyway. Boston's consistently been one of the better teams in the NHL since Bergeron's been in the league. And they won once.
So he's got roughly 200 more goals than Bergeron. He's got about 100 more assists. Or no, sorry. He's got 100 more games played.
So 100 more games. That's fair. But
200 more assists.
200 more assists and 200 more goals and 100 more games.
100 more games.
Let's say 100 points better then.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And the two-way play is still there. The face-offs are still there. He's a big guy.
This is wild, actually.
This is what I mean. He's not appreciated. And LA, just keep doing their business, and Doughty, and they're going to get Doughty back probably next month.
Yeah.
I just want to give them some props because including me, a lot of people were down on them and didn't think they were going to make the playoffs this year, even though they've been making the playoffs consistently for the past few years.
Actually, interestingly enough, okay, so 100 more goals and 100 more assists, or would we say 200?
2, yeah.
He has nearly 700 less shots.
Really?
More goals. So his shooting percentage 13.1%. Bergeron was 10.7.
Yeah, there you go.
This is interesting.
Again, that's not to say that Bergeron was a bad player. I'm just
people love
Bergeron to an elite defensive forward. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah. No,
I think Bergeron was an unbelievable player. I'm making the point that Kopitar is so underrated. If you compare him to other players like him, he is near the top.
Credit where credit's due. Kopitar, this one's for you.
Yeah, and LA, shout out to LA. Keep doing your business.
Get it done.
Okay. So we talked about Patty Waugh. We got to go to Torts now.
Okay.
Have you seen either one of these or two?
I've seen. Okay, so I've seen one.
So the first one is the one you saw, I'm sure. So obviously another classic Torts interview. This time he is beefing the refs about diving and talking about honest play. He teaches his guys not to dive, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he's ripping into the refs. And he says, I'm not going to go that much into it, but it's a little ridiculous. And they asked him, and he's like, I'm really proud of my guys tonight. I thought they played really well. And he was not having it. And then they asked him, did the spotter take Konechny out because they thought he had a concussion? And Torts' response was, yeah, the spotter took him out, but when he came back, I didn't play him because he's undisciplined. So Konechny took a bad penalty, and Torts was all pissed off. That's your best player. He benches him, right? So nobody's safe.
He's a fun guy.
Yeah.
He's very polarizing, but he's a fun guy.
Yeah. And then after last night's game, I don't know if it was after the game or if it was today, but just in the media after the game, Michkov tried to do a Michigan again last night.
Oh
And
God, on a
Torts wasn't,
Tortorella team.
Torts wasn't happy about it. Torts doesn't.
No.
So Torts basically, actually, it was pretty tame for Torts. Torts basically said he doesn't believe there's a place for that in the game, but he's not going to try and change the player. He just thinks that there's other things you can do in that situation. There's a lot of other things. He's a really creative guy. He doesn't want to take that away from the player, but he's saying that he tried to do it a couple of times earlier in the season in bad situations, and it just became a turnover. That's what he doesn't like, right?
Sure.
He's not wrong entirely. I'm sure most coaches don't like when their own players do that.
Or maybe seeing why Michkov was scratched.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a maturity thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just classic Torts. We love to see that.
That's fun.
We missed Torts in New York with Brooksy. That was the best.
Oh, Torts in New York may have been best Torts. I'm trying to think
100%.
where has Torts been that like he's just been the best.
New York. For
Tampa?
sure, New York. Yeah, but Tampa was winning all the time when he was there.
True.
They were always good,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Vancouver, they were just too bad when he was there, so it was just not.
Yeah.
He was just miserable all the time. There's been some good stuff with Philly too. Where else has he been? I feel like he was at one more team after Tampa. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Oh, he had the stint in Columbus.
Columbus, yeah, that's right. Yeah. But he was pretty quiet there. But Columbus was always a hard team, and they were a solid team.
He was good in Columbus. He's a great coach. He really is.
It was with Bob and Panarin and those guys. But
How old do you think Torts is?
Torts, he's been coaching, 20 years, 25 years? 67, 68?
You're good. He's 66.
Not bad.
From Boston. Didn't realize he was from Boston.
I didn't know that either. But yeah, we love you, Torts. I do anyway. I don't think Jack is a fan, but
Torts is an interesting character.
it's fun. He's fun to listen to, fun to watch. And then Philly last night, did you see Scott Laughton 4-goal night?
Scott Laughton?
Scott Laughton 4-goal night, and his first goal.
Yes.
Did you see his first goal?
Yeah, I saw these highlights this morning.
The breakaway clap bomb.
I love it because that's what I would do.
It's so funny. Like you love it, like watching it, but when you're the goalie in that situation, you're just like, fuck you. Just off of experience, like if you're taking a slap shot on the breakaway, you're just a scumbag.
I love it. But
it's awesome. Fun. It's fun to watch. It's funny when you're not in the net. It's funny. Like when guys do that in the shootout, that's the best.
He had a great night. Great night for him.
Good for him. I know. I think the last one was an empty netter, but still 4-goal night.
Yeah. It was.
I just wanted to quick shout out Kucherov. I believe had 6 points last night, which I believe tied the Tampa record for points in a game. Okay, we're getting to the end here. I just wanted to see what you think, because we've talked about Montreal struggles in previous episodes. Do we think St. Louis is in the chopping block here?
I don't know how I wouldn't be. They're imploding. I don't know how many games they've lost in a row now. This morning I think it was like 9 in a row road games that they've lost.
It just seems like they're just accepting bad nights. Like you shouldn't be accepting it, right? You should be at least making it difficult on the other team. And it's just kind of like maybe the message isn't working anymore. Maybe it's time. I don't know.
Well, and I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand how the team's kind of built. Like, I don't understand how they like to play. I don't understand we require a coach to speak French.
Yeah,
this just seems like a very bizarre situation because you do have some talented guys. You have Suzuki, you have Caulfield, you have Gallagher, Hudson, you have I don't know, apparently it's good enough to make Team Canada. You've got Montembeault. Like, why is there not at least like competitiveness? You'd think there'd be competitiveness,
which they
at
have been
least.
the past couple of years. They don't win. They weren't getting a lot of points, but they were at least in games. So what
And they're
happened?
regressing. They're
Yeah.
regressing. They're getting worse.
Yeah. So maybe it's just they need a change of scenery here. I didn't have this in my notes, but a lot of people were touching on Suzuki for Team Canada. I just wanted to maybe touch on this.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that Suzuki didn't even. So they talked about the players that didn't make the team that were in consideration. They called the players to tell them that they didn't make the team, and Suzuki didn't even get a call. So he wasn't even on the
Even
radar.
consideration.
He wasn't even on the radar. And I like Suzuki. I think he's a good player. But there's a lot of centers out there. There's a lot of good Canadian hockey players out there. And people were saying that because he turned down the offer to go to the World Championships this past year, last spring, because the Habs missed the playoffs, obviously, so he could have gone to the World Championships with Canada. And people are saying that took him out of consideration because he didn't go. And I'm just kind of like, is Nick Suzuki that good that they would be that petty about it? Like, no, I just don't think
so.
they were taking
I
him.
just don't. There's just too many good hockey players out of Canada.
But yeah, he's not. All the players that made the team are just better than him at this point in time.
Yeah.
He hasn't done enough. It has nothing to do with it. Also, this tournament is NHL run, so it has nothing to do with Hockey Canada or the IHF or whatever, right? So like the people that are involved in that have nothing to do with this tournament. I believe all the management is not the same. So why would they give a shit? I don't know. I thought that was just BS. That was nonsense.
Yeah, and it's not taking anything away from Suzuki. He's just not there. Like
he just I like him as a player. He's not there yet. Maybe in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay. We talk about Nashville every week, but what Brunette said, I have to bring it up. Did you hear this?
I tried to tune out a lot of the Nashville commentary. I just look at the games. That's it.
So basically, they asked him, like, I don't know what the specific question was, but basically his answer was, Brunette said he could pretty much scratch every player on the team on any given night.
Oh.
It's just not. It's not going well. We won't get into it. We talk about Nashville a lot.
It's every week, and it sucks because it deserves to be every week just to touch on it and be like, hey, just Nashville's still shit.
Yeah. I think that's all I wanted to say. Okay, a couple more things before we get to our lines here. Happy retirement to Kevin Shattenkirk. He retired, I believe it was 13 seasons. Very serviceable NHL defenseman. And I believe he won a cup in Tampa. And maybe St. Louis, but I think he was gone by then. But anyway, happy retirement to him.
Nice.
Last thing, Sid moved into the top 5 all time for most assists for a single team. I don't know if you saw this. He passed Gordie Howe. For Gordie Howe did it with the Wings. You won't be surprised by the names, but the number one, I don't know if did you see the list for most?
No, I'm very curious who's ahead of him.
Okay. So your top 4, who do you think has the most assists with one franchise? Your top 4. Doesn't have to be in any order.
Bobby Orr?
No, Bobby Orr is not. Bobby Orr didn't play long enough. Too many injuries. I think 2 of them are pretty easy.
You know what? What about LeCavalier?
Jack, don't overthink it here. Who are the 2 guys who hold every fucking record in NHL?
Wayne Gretzky.
Okay, Gretzky is number 2. He is not number 1 here. And the other guy I'm talking about isn't number 1 either. But he played on the same team Pitt Crosby plays on.
Malkin? Oh, Lemieux.
There you go. Okay, so the 2 other guys, I would say, played in like 80s, 90s, whereas the best times of their careers, and then the one guy played a little bit into the 2000s.
Stevie? Mr. Yzerman?
Yeah, Yzerman is number 3. So Yzerman had more than 2, actually. Number
And
1.
then I'll go. The other guy was still 80s, 90s?
He would be predominantly 80s, 90s. He played like very briefly 2000s, but he was older at that point.
Shanahan?
No. Most assists with one franchise. I'll give you one more guess because we don't want to be here forever.
Okay. Give me a team.
If I give you a team, I'll give it away. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. He's a defenseman.
Defenseman? I don't know.
Ray Bourque.
Oh, okay.
But would you have expected a defenseman most assists?
No.
With one franchise?
Well, no. No, I wouldn't have gotten that.
No. Gretzky didn't have the record, surprisingly. Okay. So are we ready?
We're ready.
All right. We're given our new 4 nations face-off lines. I have my previous lines, and but now with the actual teams available, we're gonna change it up. So let's rapid fire here a little bit. So Finland, first line. What do you got?
Barkov, Laine, Rantanen.
Okay, I changed my mind with the center depth stuff. I want Hintz to play center now, so I've gone Lehkonen, Barkov, Rantanen to keep the Avs guys together. Second line.
Okay. Second line, Teravainen, Aho, Granlund.
My second line is Laine, Aho, Granlund.
Yeah, okay. Third line, Lehkonen, Hintz, Kaka.
That's a good third line. My third line is Haula, Hintz, Teravainen. So obviously a lot different, my team this time.
Yeah.
Fourth line.
Lundell, Luosterainen, Armia.
My fourth line is Luosterainen, Lundell, and Kakko. And then 13th forward. I have Armia. Who's your 13th forward?
I don't even. Who did I miss here?
Whoever you didn't have.
Let me go to Finland. Oh yeah, I didn't do Haula.
Haula is your 13th forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only big difference from my team from the last one was Hintz playing center because I had Hintz on the first line, and then I moved up Lehkonen and Rantanen from the second line to the first line because I moved Hintz to center.
I do. Yeah, I do like the fact that I don't know. I like the Colorado line.
Yeah. On D,
because chemistry matters.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in a short tournament.
Yeah. D, I did Heiskanen and Lundell.
Same first pairing. Yeah. Second pairing.
Välimäki, Ristolainen.
I go Mikkola, Ristolainen. Third pairing.
I did Mata, Mikkola.
I did Mata, Hakanpää, and then Välimäki.
You took Hakanpää?
Hakanpää's on the team.
Yeah, but I put him as my extra.
Yeah, but I put him on the third pairing because he's right-handed shot. That's the only reason.
I'm just like, the guy's not going to play. He can't play.
So
I don't know why.
This is assuming healthy. He's a right-handed shot, so they're going to try to play him, right? That's just my thinking. Yeah.
Did you do goalies?
Yeah, I did goalies, which isn't going to be. Saros is the starter. Luukkonen's the backup, and Lankinen's the third.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely convinced because Saros has not played well the last. Like he didn't play that great last year and this year, and Luukkonen and Lankinen are both playing really well this year.
I could see Lankinen being goalie one. There's a world where that's like a good decision.
It's impossible. I know Saros has been the guy for a long time, but I don't think it's impossible.
I think terribly.
I think you probably start out with him, but if things don't go well.
Yeah.
All right.
Team Sweden.
Team Sweden. Line 1.
At center, we have Pedersen, left wing Forsberg, right wing Nylander. We're just gunning.
Gun in the first line. So my first line isn't changed. It's only one player has changed from previously. I'm keeping Pedersen on the wing on the first line. Nylander's on the other wing on the first line. And because Lindholm has put like junk this year, I'm putting Eriksson Ek as the first line center.
Yeah, he's my second line center. Second line, Eriksson Ek, Arvidsson, and then Brott. I could see the argument for Eriksson Ek being center one.
Yeah, just like let Pedersen and Nylander go. Let them go. Eriksson Ek will take care of the defensive stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, my second line is Zibanejad, centers, Forsberg, and Brott. Brott's been really good this year. And
Brott's been phenomenal this year.
Yeah, and maybe he unleashes Forsberg a little bit and Zibanejad. Zibanejad has proven not to do well in pressure situations. He's not been a good playoff player consistently, so we'll see. But talent-wise, at center, Sweden doesn't have that much. So
yeah, I put him at third line center. Zibanejad, Raymond on the left, Kempe on the right. Kempe was goal scoring.
I have Raymond and Kempe on the wings as well, and then I have William Karlsson at center on the third line.
Which makes, for me, last center, Karlsson, winged by Nyquist and Little Karlsson.
My fourth line is Lindholm, centers, Leo Carlson, and Arvidsson. And then Nyquist is my 13th forward.
I mean, it's still very strong.
Yeah. I still don't get the Nyquist one, honestly.
D pairings?
D pairings, pairing one.
Okay, I don't know your thoughts on this. Line one's going to be Hedman Karlsson.
Well, I think you do know my thoughts on this. So actually, my D pairings.
I was wondering whether you're going to have Karlsson at all.
I have to have him at all. But I got in my projected team, I got 6 of the 7. So my D pairings are exactly the same. You just chop and change the one player. Okay. So Hedman and Ekholm is my first pairing. Shutting it down. Second pairing.
Rodin and Dahlin.
Forsling and Dahlin, because but Jack has some weird vendetta against Forsling.
Who's this close to not rostering him at all? Not like he was going to be the 7th defenseman,
which is batshit insane.
Last one, Ekholm Forsling.
I have Brodin Anderson. Anderson's a right-handed shot, so he has to be in the top 6, I think. Yeah. I think he's him and Karlsson are the only right-handed shots. And Karlsson's a complete liability defensively, so Karlsson's my 7th defenseman.
I don't know if we talked about this. Is Allmark in your top 2 goalies?
He was originally. He isn't anymore.
Markstrom
is 1. Gustafsson is 2.
Yeah. I still think Gustafsson, I still think he could be a 1, but he's going to have to be playing really well.
But just based on Markstrom's reputation a little bit, and he's starting to play a little better.
And experience, frankly, internationally.
We've talked about it before. I'm not a big Ullmark guy. I always thought he was a little overrated. I kind of feel the same about Markstrom, honestly, a little bit, but not as strongly on Markstrom. I do think Markstrom is a solid goalie still.
Yeah.
Not that I think Ullmark's a bad goalie. But I don't see him as like that upper echelon what everyone else sees. That's just my opinion. Okay, let's get to the fun teams here.
Fun ones. Team USA.
USA, first line.
Auston Matthews, winged by the Tkachuk boys.
Oh, both Tkachuks, eh?
Both of them. It's going to be electric.
Bloodbath.
I love it so much.
My first line is exactly the same as I picked before. Matthews centers, Matt Tkachuk, and Jack Hughes. And I
get it.
Teams are going to have a hard time stopping that line.
Hughes is going to play make. It's going to be a sick, disgusting line if that's what turns out.
That's Matthews and Hughes buzzing around like Matthews and Marner do. But Hughes is even better puck possession guy than Marner. Even better. and Hughes is
Hughes
around
will
the edge.
finish.
And Hughes is the playmaker, Matthews is the goal scorer, and Kachuk's the piece of shit that gets in your face and still produces points too. Second line
2.
Go ahead.
Hughes, left wing Connor, right wing Gensel.
My second line is similar to before. I had Connor, Eichel, and Tage Thompson. Obviously, Thompson didn't make the team. I stick with Connor and Eichel, and I put Boldy on the right wing. I think he's played his way into the top of the lineup. He's a very, very good power forward. He's going to be a good player in this league for a long time.
Third line, I've got Eichel with Miller and Kreider.
My third line is Larkin, centers, Miller, and Kachuk, which is the exact same third line as I had before. Brady, Kachuk.
It's a nice line.
That's a top-down line. They're all talented players that can put the puck in net, but they're also pieces of shit to play against.
Yeah.
Fourth line.
My fourth line, Larkin, Boldy, Nelson.
My fourth line is Trocheck at center, and Gensel and Brock Nelson on the wings.
I wasn't sure whether I should do Larkin on a wing, drop Nelson, take Trocheck. I think there's a real kind of argument for leaving Nelson off.
Trocheck your 13th or Nelson's your 13th?
No, Trocheck's my 13th right now.
Kreider's my 13th because he's been a complete bum this year and he shouldn't be on the team at all.
I just think he's kind of a pain in the ass to play against.
Yeah, but they have like 10 other guys that do that.
Yeah.
You already have the Kachucks, you have Boldy, you have Miller, you have Larkin, you have Trocheck, you have Nelson.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an argument for Kreider to be left off.
It's not
deep
left
pairings?
off. Not. Yeah, deep pairings. My deep pairings, again, are very similar. I got 6 of 7 right. So it's just the 7 defenseman changes. That's it for me. What's your first pairing?
Quinn Hughes and Adam Fox.
Jesus Christ. I forgot.
Matthews, Hughes, Fox, and the Kachuk boys.
The fact that you wouldn't rather have the Hughes boys in the same line. But like, and you do have to play defense too, you know. I have Hughes and McAvoy still. Second pairing.
Faber Werenski.
I have Slave and Fox still, same as before.
Good line.
Third
Slave
pairing.
and responsible. Slave and McAvoy.
My third pairing is Hannafin Faber, and that's what it was before. And I'm a little shocked that Hannafin made a team, but I
left him off. I just
he's
that's my extra guy. Yeah.
Werenski's my 7th.
Yeah.
Realistically, I would imagine that Werenski will play based on how he's playing this year.
Yes.
But I'm a big Hannafin fan, so.
Okay.
I don't think goalies are not going to be too much of a shock. Hellebuyck, Ottinger, Swayman. I'm sure everyone has that. All right, Team Canada, here we go.
Okay, I did change things up a little bit here. I got a little bit more reasonable, I think.
Not just guns a-blazing offensively.
Well,
You kind of can't with this team because of who they took, though, right? So
yeah.
it'd be kind of hard to do it. First line.
McDavid, Crosby, Marner. I split up the Halifax line.
McDavid and Crosby in the same line. Who's playing center?
Crosby center.
Crosby center. McDavid playing the wing, eh?
McDavid just buzz around. Crosby take control. McDavid can just go around, score some goals, whatever, fly around.
Listen, I don't necessarily disagree with it. Out of the two, I'd probably want to play Crosby at center. But I think what McDavid is good at is getting into open ice with speed, and it's a lot easier to do that at center than it is to do in the lane. That's just
get it. I see a lot of stretch passes with this line.
Yeah,
a lot of stretch passes.
You can see it for sure, but just my point of view is that's what's best about his game, so it kind of suits center better. My first line is McDavid at center with I move point up to the first line for a goal scorer, and then Reinhart a goal scorer as well.
Yeah, that's fair. Line 2. I have McKinnon with Hagel and Konechny.
My second line, I have McKinnon as well at center. I also have Konecny and then Marner's on the second line.
Yeah, makes sense.
Third line,
Point with Stone and Cirelli.
I got Crosby centering Stone and Bennett.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Bennett knows how to win. Reinhart knows how to win. These are guys that know how to win. They just won the cup.
Sure.
And everybody hates playing against them.
Is Bennett a winger or is he a center?
He can play both. He plays wing predominantly for Florida, though. Or no. Yeah, he plays center predominantly, sorry. But he can play wing.
Okay. Interesting. I have fourth line. I have Reinhardt, Marchand, Bennett.
Reinhart and Bennett? Would you really have Reinhart in the fourth line? Oof.
And then Marchand's left off.
You guys scored 57 goals last year. He's one of the top scorers in the league again this year.
Get it.
He's a bitch to play against. That's tough. My fourth line is Cirelli at center with Hagel and Jarvis. That line just buzzing around with speed and just solid defensively. And then Marchand is my 13th as well.
There's probably not much variability in terms of defense. Makar, Taves. Is it Taves or Toes with this guy?
It's Taves. Same as Jonathan Taves, exact same. Taves Makar for me.
Yeah, well. Pietrangelo, Theodore.
Pietrangelo, Theodore is my second pairing as well.
And then Morrissey and Hill. Who'd you go with?
I went with Sanheim.
I did Parayko. Just a little size. Block some shots. Just be physical.
So I saw this on TSN after they announced the teams, and it's probably the first time in my life I've ever agreed with Craig Button. I hate Craig Button. He's annoying. I think he's an idiot.
We'll have you on, Craig.
But he is right. I don't think Parayko should have made this team. I don't hate the idea of that type of player, but I feel like there's a ton of guys out there who are that type of player that are better than Parayko and can move a little bit.
Who did he say what should have made it over him?
So this is what I'm getting to, and I like it a lot. It's Tanev.
He's having a good year. He's reliable.
Tanev does all the same things, and yeah, Parayko is a little bigger, but Tanev can move a little bit better. And you need guys that can skate. Parayko could be a liability out there if you get him into open, right?
I might shift Parayko to Sanheim right now, just in terms of like, I don't know.
I convinced you, eh?
Maybe. Binnington Hill.
Binnington Hill Montembeau, but
if you said anything else, I was going to scream.
Well, I'm kind of thinking like for the time being, I'll stay Binnington Hill 1-2. Montembeau's the third for sure.
Could you see Hill starting?
But Hill's playing really well right now for Vegas. He's playing a lot better.
Binnington he's getting dismantled every once in a while.
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking just maybe based on right now, maybe Hill just has the edge. But it's still only December. Once we get there, I think full body work career Binnington's probably a little higher.
Yeah.
But I just think it's possible that Hill could be the hot hand when it comes to it.
I'm excited for this tournament. I really am.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this tournament, but I'm more excited for the Olympics next year. And then the following Olympics are going to, and there's a World Cup of hockey in between there. So those are the big ones. I want to play everyone to win.
International hockey seems to be returning, and the flavor hasn't been there.
Finally. Okay, that's all I got. We ready for our segment?
We're ready for the segment.
All right. Let's see it. What do we got?
See, I never do these because I want to be just as surprised as you.
Yeah, we want it to be a surprise. Just do it in the moment. We ended up doing like 3 of them. We didn't do it last week because it was kind of a surprise show, but the week before we did like 3 of them.
And I like seeing the history. Okay.
Remember, nothing too crazy. Although I did get the one that was from like the 40s and 50s, and didn't get the recent ones last time. So
We might have to do a couple here because I think you're gonna go off here. Who's the youngest player in the NHL history to score 4 goals in a single game?
Austin Matthews.
Correct. Kind of an iconic one. And as a Leafs fan, kind of
Yeah,
unfair.
He scored 4 in his first game. It's pretty, and he was number 1 overall pick, so he was 18.
Ooh, actually, okay, this one's kind of cool. This one might be a little bit more difficult.
All right.
Who is the only player in NHL history, only player, to score on their first shot, first shift, first game in the NHL?
Mario Lemieux.
Now, again, there is a lot of things wrong with ChatGPT, but that is not Mario Lemieux.
Go fact check that.
Let's go fact check. Let's see. Yeah, this is wrong. You're right. Mario did. Against Ray Bork, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
You thought you stumped me there, eh?
Actually, there's a decent amount here. Someone's saying Velarde did. The answer that they had was Cale Makar.
Really?
In 2019.
I think his first game was a playoff game. Is it regular season only?
Against the Calgary Flames.
Or maybe he got called up like right
April 15th, 2019.
Probably just before the playoffs, maybe. But I know Lemieux scored on. It's famous that Lemieux scored his first goal on his first shift on his first shot.
I also know, actually, this one's probably right. Who's the only player in the NHL history to score 2 Michigan goals in a single season?
Zegras? I don't know.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to play hockey. He wants to play lacrosse. Which NHL player set the record for the fastest 3 goals scored by one player in modern history? Oh, fastest natural hat trick.
Natural hat trick? So not the question you asked me a couple weeks ago.
Asking. I think this is what's the fastest natural hat trick in NHL history?
Is it the same question as the one from a couple weeks ago? Or was that just the fastest? Because you remember it was the first hat trick. It was the fastest hat trick, and it was the guy from like the 50s that I didn't know, and it was like 20 seconds or something. And that would be an actual hat trick too, right?
That was the fastest. No, that was the first player to score on a penalty shot.
No.
And then was the fastest hat trick. Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
Is it the same one? Because that would be a natural hat trick. I think he scored 3 goals in 20 seconds. That's a natural hat trick. Nobody else scored in between.
See, this isn't working out. All of these seem wrong.
Yeah, see? Fucking AI.
This one's gonna be, you're gonna get this. Only defenseman in NHL history to win the Hart Trophy twice.
Bobby Orr.
Yep.
They're easy to
go to like
find one like a little more challenging.
Who holds the record for the NHL longest consecutive point streak by a rookie?
We did that last week. Barzal.
It's actually tied with Paul Stastny. They're saying 20-game point streak.
Yeah, we did week or 2 weeks ago, whatever.
Okay. Who's the only player in NHL history to win the Conn Smythe Trophy despite playing for the losing team in the Stanley Cup final? This is hard if this is true.
Well, there's more than one. Go look up how many guys have won the Conn Smythe while on the losing team. I know for a fact there's more than one.
There is like more than one.
How many?
They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oof, more than I thought.
This one was the one that the answer came up with on ChatGPT was the first one to do it.
Okay, so the first one to do it. So you want me to name all of them, or you want me to just do the first one?
Up to you, player's choice.
Okay, we'll do all of them. How many are there any like that are like ridiculous that I won't get?
There's some that are like easier than others.
Yeah.
There's a couple that are harder.
So how many?
You should get 3 easy. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, so the two easy ones. McDavid just did it last year, and
Correct.
Jaguar did it in 2003.
Correct.
Okay.
Wow, even going the years.
After that, it's going to be a little more difficult. Is there any in the 90s?
No.
80s?
You want a hint?
Is there one in the 80s?
Yes.
Okay.
There's one in the 80s, one in the 70s, and 2 in the 60s.
One in the 80s, 2 in the 70s, and 2 in the 60s? Okay.
One in the 70s.
One in the 70s.
Because you've got McDavid, you've got...
Okay, yeah.
So
one 80s, one 70s, 2 60s. Most part probably going to be goalies, I would assume. The 80s. Who won cups? Maybe against Edmonton one year. Maybe the goalie. Or the Islanders. The Islanders could be the Islanders too. Is this like a well-known player?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know this guy, and he's an 80s player, and I know him.
Is it Hextall, maybe?
It is Ron Hextall.
I knew Edmonton.
Get out here.
I knew Edmonton beat Philly one year in the 80s.
So it was 87. So Ron Hextall won it in 87, playing for the Flyers. You've got 3 left. One in the 70s.
70s. So let's see. The Habs won 4 in a row in the 70s. Who did they play against? I don't know if they played Boston in the final or if it was a conference final. Because that was like the famous Don Cherry Boston Montreal thing. I'm not sure if it was a final or a conference final. Because the format was all weird back then. The Bruins won a couple times, but I don't think the other team would have won. The Flyers won, but I think their goalie won. I'm gonna say. Do you know this player?
Not really. He would have come up in trivia for other things.
Yeah,
but you don't think of hockey. You don't think of him.
I'm gonna assume it's a goalie. I'm gonna say Jerry Cheevers, maybe.
It is not a goalie.
It's not a goalie. Okay. We're going way too far back for me to like remember who played who in the final, right? I know the winners, but I'm not gonna know who they played.
I'm going to give you a year. It might help.
I don't know if it'll give it away or not. Say the year.
76.
76. So the Habs, that was the first of the Habs 4 in a row. Maybe they played Philly. No, I don't think so. Who was around back then? So you got the original 6, but I don't think they played I think the conferences were original 6 and then the expansion teams. You had Philly was in the mix, maybe St. Louis. St. Louis, maybe. Maybe Bernie Federko, maybe. No. 76. Was the team he played on original six?
No, I don't believe so.
I didn't think they did play each other, but so it's not a goalie. It's not original six.
No.
So it would be like St. Louis, Philly, Vancouver would have been there, but I don't think they would have made the final.
He was selected third overall in the 1970 draft.
The 1970 draft. The team he played on was not original six. I don't know, give me the team.
Philadelphia.
It was
This
Philadelphia.
guy scored 19 goals and 24 points in 16 playoff games that year.
Was it Bobby Clark? No. Who else played for Philly in the 70s? It's not the goalie. I don't know.
Reggie Leach.
Reggie Leach. Yeah, Reggie Leach. Okay, the 60s ones. So
60s. Do you want years?
no. Maybe in a bit, but let me try and iron it out here.
Let him cook.
So the Habs won a bunch, the Leafs won a bunch, the Hawks won one. And I think that's it, the 60s.
I think you're gonna logic these out, whether you know the guy or not.
Was one of them not original six?
Both are original six teams.
Both are original 16. So it's gotta be pre 60, so 67 or earlier. I'm gonna assume at least one is a goalie.
Do you want me to answer?
The yes or no question.
Yes.
Okay.
Both are goalies.
Both are goalies. Okay. I'm gonna go. Tony Esposito. Was he there then, or that might be too early?
It's a guess, but no.
Yeah, I think it might be a little too early. I think he played a little.
Yeah.
Late. Goalies. Jacques Plante, maybe? No.
No, sir.
Chicago. I'll go with Terry Sawchuk.
Unfortunately not.
Johnny Bauer.
Unfortunately not.
Really? Who was the Habs goalie in the 60s? Was Ken Dryden there yet? No, that was too early. He would have been 70s. Give me the years.
68.
That's post lockout.
And then 66 is the other one.
So the Habs won both those cups.
Oh, and actually, I'll backtrack. So, the one played for original six, but he didn't win the Conn Smythe with.
That's what I was.
The 16.
But I said Jacques Plante, right?
You did.
I did say Jacques Plante because I believe Jacques Plante played for St. Louis. So that was my thinking because they made the finals a bunch of times at the beginning after the expansion, but they didn't win. They never won. 68 goalie for St. Louis. Would you know either of these guys? Probably not.
I don't know either of these guys.
66 Habs. So 66 is still original 6. So it's Leafs, Bruins, Rangers, Hawks, or Wings. I said Sawchuk. I said Bauer. I tried Esposito. Is Glenn Hall in there? Is he still playing then? Or it might be a little bit past his time. No.
Okay, so Glenn Hall is the 68 one playing
He's
for
the
the
68 one.
Blues.
Lewis, wow, okay.
But no, he is not the 66 one, but you did get him for the 68.
Okay. 66. Would it still be original 6?
One against.
Well, I know Montreal won.
And they were playing who?
I don't know. It can't be the Leafs because they already said Sawchuk and Bauer.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the Wings goalie then? Sawchuk was gone. He was in Toronto.
We are inching it out.
I can't think of who the Wings goalie was.
You
The
wanna give
Rangers
it?
were. The Rangers were. Was it maybe the Rangers that was? Was Eddie Jockerman still playing?
It is not him.
Okay. The Blackhawks, I think they were done by then. 66 because they won in 61. That would have been. I think Bobby Hall was gone by then. Austin wasn't good yet. They were shit still.
Detroit Red Wings.
Detroit Red Wings. I kind of figured you were kind of hinting at it a little bit. But it's not Sawchuk. Who was the Wings goalie in the 60s? Post Sawchuk.
He still existed post expansion, and he no longer played for Detroit.
I don't know. I give up. We're taking a little.
Is Roger Crozier?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't have got that, but I know who it is.
That's
That
tough.
was
That's tough.
That was a fun one. I like that one.
We're busting off some of these kind of easy for you ones. You know, these not great. These straight up wrong ones.
How many did I get? 4?
You got McDavid. You got Jagier. You got Hextall. You got Glenn Hall. You didn't get Leach or Crozier.
Leach, I maybe would have figured out, but we don't want to sit here and bore you guys all night here.
Yeah.
Well,
if you've stayed this long, you're already bored.
Yeah. Before we go, unless you want to ask me another one, it's up to you. I saw an NHL trivia game at Indigo yesterday.
Oh, come on. Okay, I'm going to go to Indigo tomorrow. That's where we'll generate these questions from.
We're going to get those questions. We're just going to pull it right out of that game.
Yes, we're going to play the game.
All right.
Oh, I love this transition.
Yeah.
We're evolving.
Yeah, no more AI because the facts are dog
They're
shit.
just wrong.
Yeah. Fuck you, Chat GPT.
Hopefully Hasbro's not using AI to make this game.
Yeah. But then we're gonna go play the game and we're gonna know all the answers because
No, we don't have to tell anyone.
it's like $40 though, the game.
So you have a soccer game tonight, is that right?
I do at 10:30. Yeah.
Indoor
Indoor.
soccer.
Yeah.
It'd be
We
free.
leave.
Oh,
We leave for Chicago on Sunday.
you excited?
Yeah.
Are you gonna do a Chicago game?
Yeah, we're thinking about the Hawks game. Maybe on Tuesday they play Washington. Just
Fantastic.
maybe see if tickets go down a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Maybe see Bedard play a little bit.
Betsy.
I was getting my hopes up a little bit. If Ogi's on the ice, maybe he's skating already. Maybe get out there.
He's still weeks away. He's in a non-contact jersey. Don't get crazy.
I want to see him play. I've never seen him play live.
We'll try and make it happen.
I don't think I've ever seen Sid play live either. I'm trying to think how many Wings games I've been to. Don't think I've ever seen either one of them play.
We'll try and change that.
Yeah, maybe one day. We'll see.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. Anything else?
Well, this is kind of a wholesome end to a Go Puck Yourself episode. There was no screaming about.
Do you have a time there? How long was it?
I'm gonna have to check after the fact. I don't even know. I know we started around
over 2 hours.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's 9 now, and we started a little bit before 7. So
sorry, folks.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna have the time to record Thursday or Friday. So maybe we go Sunday next week.
Okay.
When I come back, we're gonna come back out of Saturday.
This long episode can tide people over, break
Yeah.
parts.
Our big double-digit viewers now.
Yeah, we're big important people.
20 views or whatever it was.
Any last words?
For people we know. Nobody that doesn't know us watches this. So
Correct.
yeah. People, promote us a little bit.
Tell us about show us to your friends. I know I have friends and family watching because you have to
Like and subscribe.
Subscribe, drive engagement,
Yeah.
and
We didn't do anything we did kind of do non-hockey. What are you doing? Just working this week?
just working this week. Came back home, just working this week. We're trying to do end of quarter crunch.
When are you off?
I'm not doing any vacation.
But like for Christmas, like what do you have off? Just a couple days or?
Yeah, like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Boxing Day? You don't have Boxing Day off?
Actually, in Canada, we might. I have to look into it. I don't really know, to be honest.
Holiday, so
I think it's a Canadian. I think it's stat.
Yeah, the Christmas Eve isn't.
No, but I think we're given that.
Yeah. So I'm coming back. We come back on the Sunday. I got to go to work the 23rd, so the Monday, and then I don't work again until the New Year.
You know what? That's not bad.
But one day, what's the point? Make us come in on the Monday, and then we don't work again. But the 27th, you better get your ass back here in time for the 27th.
Oh, we're ready. I'm either gonna have to travel the 26th or the 27th. Probably, I might do the 26th just so I'm already there because I might be working I'm gonna have to still work the 27th. So
yeah, you don't want to travel that day.
Yeah.
The Leafs are in Detroit tomorrow night.
It's gonna be a fun game. Two challenges, two good challenges that they'll step up for.
Yeah. All right, folks.
Don't puck yourself.
That was a very positive ending.